Hey there, it's Ben from Pattern Profits, bringing you the weekend update and weekly watch list for Monday, December 6th, starting with IWO, our proxy for small cap growth. There's just not a whole lot here to get excited about unless this area holds and we start to see it make the turn. Even if we do, you have multiple layers above volume shelf, anchored VWAPs, year-to-date anchored VWAP declining off of the high. You've got quite a few levels it would have to work through. On the other hand, this level does fail. 278.74, a level I'll be watching. And then this anchored VWAP is actually from the COVID lows. So just have to see how it acts early in the week. Maybe an undercut reclaim. We did get put-call ratio, significant one as far as fear goes. So that's a start anyway. FFTY, another one that doesn't look so hot. We're holding this level here, anchored VWAP. We're holding that kind of volume shelf there, that anchored VWAP back to the swing low from October. But then this one here gets into our lows from COVID. That's a long way down from here. The best looking of the group, PDP, that's the one that's held up the best, still just below that prior pivot. And you do have some levels of support there with the year-to-date anchored VWAP and anchored VWAP off of the low. And just below that, a volume shelf. So you have some support there. But again, just have to see how they act early in the week. And like I said, we got some fear and quite oversold. If we get a bounce, just have to see if it's anything more than that. Getting in to a few of the things that have held up well. O'Reilly Automotive holding up well. This whole group's holding up well, actually. Let me bring the volume by price over. You have a standard pivot here of 669.09. Just looking to see if we can push through that pivot. More likely to just watch and see how they act versus actually participating in them. A lot of times with these breakouts, when the market's not healthy, they tend to squat, which we'll probably actually take a look at one or two of them. GRBK, another one that I'll be watching. I kind of like this setup better than most. You do have a double bottom where the bottom of the right side shook out the left, got through the pivot here. Now you have a standard pivot above 28.03. A little bit of a handle there. I like how anchored VWAP off of this big volume breakout here held as support here. Now just want to see if it can push through that pivot at 28.03. Another one I like, actually this is the only stock I'm currently still have a piece of, is Zim. Cup with handle pattern, tried to come out of that descending trend line of the handle and ended up falling right back. And that's what we tend to see happen so much when the market's not healthy, is they look good and come through the trend line or come through the pivot and then roll over late in the session. Had an inside day here, right here, which it came out of but couldn't hold it. Market brought it back in. It is still within 1020 cloud. Cup with handle pattern still valid, so it hasn't completely failed yet. So keeping that one on the radar, a little bit underwater in that position. TLYS is another one, keeping an eye on. Double bottom pattern with a handle. That handle's quite deep, but then you got the nice earnings on Friday and a good move on good volume. Standard pivot, we'll see if it can reclaim that 1693. And then you had the high here at 1660. So first you'd want to see it take out the 1660 high and then 1693. This is what I was referring to. You get the breakout and things look good and then rolls right over along with the market. Fortunately, this one had earnings and responded well to earnings. So still worth keeping an eye on. And speaking of keeping an eye on, still keeping an eye on the bunny, PLBY Playboy. And what's going on here? Power earnings gap here anchored VWAP. It's dancing around it. Every time anchored VWAP from off of the power earnings gap fails, it gets caught either by anchored VWAP. Those are off of the prior highs, prior high here and the prior swing low here. And then the red one right there is year-to-date anchored VWAP, and now 1020 cloud is right there too. So it doesn't look great, but it also hasn't failed. You're still above year-to-date anchored VWAP, and really any strength here could easily reclaim the anchored VWAP from the power earnings gap too. Volume shelf just above now acting as resistance, whereas back here and here it was support. So just look at this volume though. This is what keeps it on the radar, is still those big green volume bars. So someone's in there buying, and will continue to keep an eye on it, see if it holds these levels or maybe it goes sideways as the market continues to come in. And then if the market gets healthy, maybe one of the first to turn. You've got the power earnings gap high of 42 above as well. That's all I have. Hope you have a great trading week, and I will see you over on FinTwit.